afternoon and welcome to How to Mindfully Market in the COVID-19 Era. My name is Meredith Kinsey and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Fuel, a full-service marketing agency here in Greenville, South Carolina. We are thrilled to partner with our friends at the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce to bring you this webinar. Both Fuel and the South Carolina Chamber appreciate your taking the time to join us, and we are looking forward to sharing insights and ideas relative to marketing during this unique time in our lives. Joining me is our Senior Account Strategist, Allie Dodge. Warren Griffith, the President and CEO of Fuel, was slated to join us, but unfortunately he has injured his back, so will not be with us today. We wish him a speedy recovery. Before I turn the presentation over to Allie, a few quick housekeeping items. For the duration of the webinar, everyone will be on mute. As mentioned, there will be time for questions after the presentation, so we encourage you to use the Q&A pane to submit any questions you may have as we go along. Our presentation will last approximately 30 minutes and will be followed by this Q&A period. We will also have a couple of polls along the way to gain live feedback, which we hope will be valuable information to everyone on the webinar. Finally, the presentation will be made available as well after the webinar ends. So with that, I thank you again for being here, and I will turn things over to Allie.
Thanks, Meredith, and welcome you guys. We're going to get right into it. Going to go ahead and head over to our presentation. All right. So thanks for joining us as small businesses. We did this presentation last week with medium and large businesses, but we absolutely recognize that the challenges that you guys have gone through are vastly different than the challenges at a larger organization. So we tried to customize this presentation just for you. And the other thing we tried to do is to keep up with the ever-changing landscape here in South Carolina and North Carolina. Things are progressing pretty rapidly. So hopefully these will be timed well. So here we go. The first thing is, I think that everyone is beginning to come to terms with the fact that we are living in a new normal. It is going to be a long time, and in many ways, if ever, that we go back to what life was like in Q4 of 2019. So in the marketing world, what we're trying to do is help businesses prepare themselves to move from surviving into thriving in 2020 and sort of accepting this new normal. So today we're going to focus on marketing strategies and tactics that are specifically customized for you and that's tailored to this incredibly unprecedented environment that we're in for deployment now as businesses are beginning to reopen, and even if you were closed, still for deployment now and dealing with populations coming back into the market. So the first thing I want to talk about is communication through crisis. How we communicate oftentimes is important as what we communicate with our customers and clients. So it's an incredibly stressful time period, but it's also a time period where we can take this opportunity to cement longstanding relationships, and from that begin to influence, impress new clients. So while I'm sure that for most of you, you have been dealing with some very real life blocking and tackling of, is my business open? How am I going to make money? Do I have to lay my employees off? As we begin to shift out of that survival stage, this is an opportunity to begin to actually grow your business. We have 5 strategies that we're going to review today. Be nimble, be creative, be present, be smart, and be prepared. And before we get started, I think our first poll is coming up. So the chamber will pop this up. And if you will put up with my, here we go. You can actually click on the screen. Our first poll is on a scale of 1 through 5. How confident are you with your marketing plans moving forward? 1 is not confident, 3 somewhat confident, and 5 very confident. And what I was going to say, if you'll put up with my narration for a bit, when this gets posted online through the Chamber of Commerce, the actual pop-up window showing the poll isn't reflected in the video. So I like to let people who are watching this at home after today's presentation to kind of understand what I'm seeing on the screen. Right now, we have about 78% of the attendees have voted. And I would say we're dealing with about 48% saying that they're somewhat confident. And I've also just received a note that the slides are not changing. So I am going to pause the poll real quick and come back. I will let you know real quick that 48% did say that they're somewhat confident. So hopefully some of the things we're going to talk about today will support that confidence. So let me do this. I'm going to click out of this poll real quick. Pause, and I am going to resume share, and I'm going to ask real quickly in the background. Can you see it yet? Sorry for that, guys. I appreciate your patience. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to reshare. And you should be seeing poll number 1. I am screen sharing is what it says. Can you get some from Amy real quick? Taking a quick poll here in the office in downtown Greenville to see if it's coming through on y'all's end yet. So as I mentioned, while I'm waiting to get confirmation of what you can see, it looks like we're good to go. I'll go back real quick to what I was saying about, it seems the majority of the attendees so far are feeling somewhat confident. So I'm hoping today that we're going to be able to give you some good thoughts that either support the direction you're heading in and potentially some new thoughts. Just real quick preview of a review of some of the slides that I was showing about communication through a crisis. And the 5 strategies: be nimble, be creative, be present, be smart, and be prepared. So let's talk about being nimble. Section 1, strategy 1. If you haven't already done so, you will be continuing to shift your approach. We all have to kind of come to terms with the fact that the relationship with our current customers, and this is true for us at Fuel with our clients, it's going to be true for you guys. I looked at the attendee list before today, and you come from a wide variety of backgrounds, from services to manufacturing, from hospitality to retail. But regardless of what industry you're in, this crisis has impacted that relationship in multiple ways. Many of you have gone virtual, and that may or may not ever go away, or it may be a combination of virtual and in person. There's certainly supply chain logistics that have been affected in this, delivery logistics, people being able to come to you versus not. There's a lot of stress, not only with you as small business owners, but with your customers are going through a great deal of stress, whether they're employed or not employed, or whether their own jobs are potentially in jeopardy. And that's obviously because of the fiscal nature of what we're dealing with right now in the economy. So we'll be riding this rocky river raft for a bit. And it's important to kind of just live into where you are right now and work within, not, I hope this will go away, but begin to kind of plan how to plan through it. I always try to keep a little bit of positive with the negative. There is some opportunity in here that we're seeing. Meet your customers where they are. They have shifted their consumption of where they are receiving marketing and advertising messages. Web traffic, as you would expect, is really up right now. Not the mobile applications, but the actual desktop applications. So customers are using Facebook and Twitter, and they're going to your website, but they're doing it on a desktop versus doing it on their mobile device. And so there's some opportunity that we're going to talk about with that. Social media traffic specifically is up, and chat usage. So if you have a website and you have the ability to answer your customers' questions via chat, even if it's within certain hours, there's been an uptick in companies adopting chat on their website, as well as customers using chat when it was already available. Customers are out there looking to be educated, they're looking to be entertained, they want information, and they want it pretty quickly. So chat's a great device to communicate with your customers. And then last but not least, and again, not necessarily a huge surprise, but local and national news is up. And we're going to talk a little bit about how some of your efforts can be parlayed into public relations and editorial coverage and into journalist coverage on the local news, because they are looking for stories right now. We'll talk about that. The next piece about being nimble is ready your plan. So whether you've been closed or whether you have been open, the Carolinas as a whole is beginning to reopen. So if you do not have a plan for how you are going to reopen physically with your customers, now's the time to begin to adopt one. And not just adopt one, but most importantly, how are you going to communicate it and how are you going to enforce it? Those two pieces are really important, and it's going to take a lot of practice with your staff or with the teams that are going to be supporting your business. read a disturbing story over the weekend of Massachusetts and the beach, and they were able to open up, and a very famous decades-old ice cream shop opened up and were completely overwhelmed and inundated with customers who were not adopting the policies that the shop owner had put into place. And it created a really disturbing scene for the staff, and the shop decided it's not worth it to me. I can't enforce the policies that I want my customers to adopt, and so I'm actually going to shut back down. So I think that's a real world example of how having a plan, but if you're not able to communicate the plan or execute the plan, can go horribly awry. So make sure that your employees and your consumers understand how you're going to keep them safe, how you're going to keep your employees safe, not just immediately, but over the course of the next several months. Communicate that everywhere. I can't tell you how many small businesses that I've looked at where the website information doesn't match the social pages, or vice versa. They've got it updated in one place, but not in another. So try to be consistent with how you're communicating. Again, that gives you a sense of, I've got this confidently under control. I'm able to communicate my plan. You should feel comfortable coming back to me as my small business customer. And then again, as I talk about the execution of the plan, please, plan on keeping employees and your customers safe. I heard a really funny story recently about Open Hearth, which is the restaurant here in Greenville. In order to make their restaurant look a little bit fuller, they're actually going to be putting life-size mannequins and dolls in the seats that keeps the individual booths separate. So the news clearly picked up on this. This is a great way that you could take your plan for being open and parlay that into a fun PR story. Strategy 2, be creative. Oh, sorry, poll number 2. I zipped right past it. So I'm gonna wait for the chamber to pop our poll up. And again, as people are filling it out, I'll narrate for those who are watching this webinar later on. Just to let the chamber know, I'm actually not seeing it pop up just yet, so I'll give it a few more minutes to see. Here we go. So a couple questions here. Has your company cut your marketing plan or spending, shifted your marketing spending, maintained, or increased? So cut, shifted, maintained, or increased. We have about 50% of the respondents who have voted so far. We're up to about 70% right now. And it looks like a fairly interesting split, but still in a very positive direction. I'm waiting till we get a little bit more. I got 82% who have voted at this point, and right now, maintained the same marketing spend and plan is the front runner with about 41% of the vote, and shifted at 31. That's a really positive. I'm going to go ahead and publish this poll so you can see it now, and I'm going to share the results. You should be able to see this on your screen. Those are really positive numbers. I think that shows a lot of optimism and faith in your businesses and in your markets. So that's terrific news. All right, and let me just pop this guy off, and we'll keep moving forward. All right, be creative. I know it's really hard to think about paying it forward and embracing some altruistic measures right now when, again, we're dealing with, I'm not sure how I'm going to pay my rent next month, but if it's possible to participate in the human economy, it really can set you up for success later. So think about not only how can you support your customers during this time? Is there something that they're doing that you guys can co-market together? Is it just simply reaching out to them and saying, like, do we all need a private night where you guys could come shopping in the store? How can you partner or donate something to a nonprofit that'll bring you some PR value, whether it's come into my restaurant and bring a canned goods that we're going to be giving to our local food banks. Again, it's good to do it for altruistic reasons, but there definitely is some PR value. I went through some of the registrants who are participating in the call today, and I caught one that I thought did an excellent job of not exploiting the current crisis, but did a great job of saying, I'm sensitive to what's going on, and that's Swagalock. They are not only donating masks to the local healthcare workers who need it, but they have also made a significant sizable donation to food banks in their area. And it's just a way that they can say, I appreciate what's going on. I acknowledge that fortunately they're not affected as an essential business, but they're still wanting to participate and give back to the human economy in their market. So that's a great example. Charleston Artists did a auction artistic fundraiser that supports Feed the Need. Obviously, we've all heard about distilleries shifting to hand sanitizer. And SE Printers did some free signs for businesses to say, I'm still open, please come back and see me, but do it in a way that involves curbside. So some really good examples out there of people really pitching in. Being creative also means thinking differently. So the business model that worked in 2019 or even the first quarter of 2020 is maybe not going to be your business model moving forward. So it could be the right time to launch a new product, reposition yourself, an extension of your product, where before you may have been a cleaning service. Now, how can you transition that cleaning service into a disinfecting service? Same business, technically, just slightly extending it or pivoting it on a message that's going to resonate probably a little bit tighter in this environment. I got a great example with Elizabeth Rose, that's a candle maker here in our region, and she has created a new candle for everyone who is working remotely called Stay at Home. So it's a lovely new scent. It's a little tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's just a terrific way that they can bring a little levity and relaxation through a product that I think everyone would appreciate. Bartering is also back. So there have been a number of bartering groups that have popped up on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Several commerce regionally throughout the US have started supporting this. But how can your small business partner with another business where it makes sense? It could be a pizza restaurant partnering with a cupcake shop. In the case of Split Creek Farms, they reached out to Split Creek Farms is a goat farm based in Pendleton. They reached out to restaurants in that area and asked them to put their products on their menus to support the farms because they were obviously losing a great deal of money. And restaurants in the Pendleton area not only did that, in fact, but customers came in asking for it because they wanted to, and kind also to respect and support the farm. So I thought that was a great example that was recently also in the news. So again, the PR factors on these are enormous because the media is looking to support all of the news consumption that customers and your clients are currently, and you are currently consuming. So think about how you and your partners, or how you can partner with and trade with another small business in a way that not only is mutually beneficial, but maybe a feel-good story. Section 3, be present. So this is a virtual new world. Don't have to tell you guys that. We've been in this, believe it or not, for 2 months now. So even though we are potentially open for business, that may not mean that your customers are ready to get to you. So just because the doors open and the lights turn on, this virtual reality will be with us for a while. So this is a great opportunity for you to continue to create behind the scenes content. It could be, hey, I just wanted to show you a picture of our cleaning service tonight in the restaurant. We're going to be ready for you tomorrow. Put that out on Facebook or on Twitter. That's a great way to reassure them that each night you're in there taking care of your business so they can feel good about coming in. Continue with the virtual tours. We have a number of real estate developments at the agency, and they're actually using Marco Polo right now, which is, if you haven't checked Marco Polo out, it's a cross between texting and video. So you send videos back and forth, as quick as texting is. And so they're taking clients who are uncomfortable doing an in-person tour on a Marco Polo tour of a home. That's very, very clever. You can shift to Google Forms for virtual shopping or personalized shopping experience. It's super easy to create a survey and ask your customers what they're looking for and then present to them options. The second tactic under be present is don't lose ground. And I'm thrilled to hear that you guys have either maintained or shifted their marketing spend. I think that's really smart because your customers don't want you to go dark right now. Your clients don't want you to go dark. Now is a great time to negotiate marketing deals. I had mentioned before about how high web traffic was right now, but ironically, the media spend is not there. Same thing on social with Facebook. So if you have a chance to negotiate a better deal right now because the market is soft, it's a wonderful opportunity. If you have a chance to keep your money in a social channel, your return on ad spend is going to be higher because rates are lower. It's also a great time to reach back out to past customers. If you have had a success story coming through the COVID crisis, don't keep that a secret. Not only let your current clients know and your current customers know, but if there's a way to reach out to past customers and say, hey, I hope you made it through okay. We actually fared fairly well. We're back in business. If you want to come see us, if you need anything, give us a call. So definitely reach back out to past customers. And I mentioned several times this opportunity for public relations, but because so many people are tuning into the news, print, online, broadcast, local radio, they're always looking for content and they're under a lot of pressure to continue to feed the machine. So they're definitely interested. It may not be a story just about you, but you may be part of a larger story. So definitely get in touch with the editorial staffs and the journalist staffs. Their contact information is on just about every single media outlet out there. Section 4, be smart. So obviously, focus on your customer. This is, as I said before, I'm hoping that some good stories are going to be created out of this, which are going to create some new customers down the road. But the most important thing is to really focus on your existing customer. There's an old adage in marketing that it takes 5 times more money to acquire a new customer as it does to maintain an existing one. So when you're in markets that are under stress like we are right now, definitely it's best to reward and recognize and retain your existing clients. I've got some examples here on the right. Right now in the retail space, buy one, donate one. A BODO is the new buy one, get one. Not everyone is going to have the luxury of being able to donate, but I've definitely been to some e-com sites where they have given something to the front line, the healthcare workers, once a purchase has been made, which is really nice. Also discounts and giveaways to healthcare workers, recognizing them. I've seen that in several retail establishments where it's a free cup of coffee, something along those lines. With food and beverage, we're, as I said, just because the market's open, it may not mean that your customers are ready to come to you yet. So continuing to incentivize delivery. And I really believe that a lot of the special event menus that have been created for Mother's Day and for Easter, there may be an opportunity to continue those special holiday take-home, pick-up menu options for people who are, again, not comfortable bringing their 70-plus father into a restaurant for Father's Day. So continue to support your restaurant with your clients in a way that keeps them safe. In service sectors, there's definitely opportunities to share your supplies with your top customers, to ask your top customers, what are your needs? Let me see if I can find another one of my clients who maybe have this, and begin to kind of set up your own barter system, or at the very least your own support system of how all your clients can create their own local economy. And then last but not least, again, if you haven't already done so, it's never too late to move into the virtual space. The technology is rapidly catching up with where the consumer behavior is currently. So Zoom, which was absolutely hit on the back of the head by this, continues to put out newer, better versions of Zoom. You're going to see more Marco Polo type environments crop up. So continue to look for these technologies catching up with us during this crisis. And then last but not least, it is a little, it's scary right now from a financial perspective, with the unemployment and with big business and medium business last week, they were talking about, rethinking their financial forecasts. That's going to have a trickle down effect. So if you've got a product, is it possible to offer free trial periods, free demos, to really cement that sale? All right. And our last section is be prepared, and we will wind up this so that we've got time for Q&A. So there will probably be a COVID-19 2.0. There will probably be a COVID-20 1.0. And I feel that as much as we want to make this go away, this is a really good time to stop and think about, my God, if I knew then what I know now, what would I be doing different? So after we get through the opening process, but not too far after, think about how you could have done things differently and what pieces can you put into place now that will prepare you for the event in the future, if in fact we have another stay at home advice or another guidance for people to stay at home. What does that look like? So identify a product, could be a process, a service that you could provide in an event that we're shut down again. Ask your employees and your teams what worked and didn't work, regardless of what industry you're in. And then ask your clients and customers the same questions. You know, what would they have wanted? I know I have a couple different dress shops that I really love, and that I would have loved if I could have done, even though I'm staying at home, you know, a little pick-me-up wouldn't have hurt. I would have loved if they would have done a virtual shopping tour for me. So think about ways now while it's still fresh in your mind, and then begin to put that infrastructure into place. It's a lot of information. I know you guys, as I mentioned, are from a wide variety of industries. Some of these tactics and strategies you may already be employing, and hopefully some of these are new and something you can learn and grow from. So if there are 3 takeaways, it's prioritize the things that you can control. Focus on your key clients, your key customers and those relationships. And then concentrate on marketing investments that are going to be able to set you up, whether they're partnerships, whether it's PR value, whether it's buying media right now while the market's soft. What are those things you can do now that's going to help float you in the months to come up? So if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door, from John Engler. So with that, I am going to open it back up, invite Meredith, who has been monitoring some of the questions coming in and seeing some hands being raised. And yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll take some of your questions.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Allie. We do have a couple of questions. Let's see. The first one here is, I have a limited marketing budget. What should my top priority be?
I would say the top priority should be some communicating quickly about where you are from an open perspective, utilizing the channels that you currently have. So if you do, I'm assuming that most people at this point have a social presence, so make sure that you're beginning to come back online. Start to post. Hey, I'm so excited for next Monday. Hey guys, we didn't make the cut, but we're gonna make it the next round. So begin to share that information out on social and update your web pages. And if you don't have a web page, you know, they're incredibly affordable right now to set up a web page through Squarespace or through GoDaddy, just a really simple landing page to let people know where you are. But I would absolutely be focusing on clear communications that you're open for business, and then tell your customers to tell their friends, right? Invite them back in, help them get the word out. I think people are feeling really supportive of small business right now, and they want to help. They want their favorite restaurant, their favorite service, their favorite boutique to stay open, so they'll be willing to serve you.
Very good. All right, we have another question that comes in from David. He wants to know your thoughts on balancing content strategy between evergreen content and content that is hyper relevant to COVID-19.
Yeah, and I think you used the right word, balance. So we subscribe to a service here at the agency called HubSpot. It is a CRM inbound and CRM, as I said, system. If you go to HubSpot, they are offering a lot of free webinars and free content right now. You don't have to be a HubSpot customer, but they did a great webinar last week that talked about shifting from promotional content to educational and inspirational content. So you want to have both, right? You really need all three. So you need to educate them about where your business is right now, open, not open, gonna open, open with limitations, et cetera, et cetera. Get through that phase and then inspire them to come back to you, right? So you want to say, I've addressed the health and safety, and I'm really excited about my products this spring. I'm really excited about my products this summer. And I'm offering a buy one, donate one, or I am offering a 5% discount on contracts that get signed between now and the end of July, if you're, for example, a manufacturing or B2B company. So it's that shift from I'm going to take care of my basic Maslowian needs to tell you and inspire you to come back in and then close the deal.
Very good. Thank you. We have another one from Amy. Knowing that there may be times in the future where people are encouraged to stay at home, how do we build strong relationships now to help sustain customer loyalty during those times?
Absolutely. I think the first thing is when you get a chance to re-engage physically, person to person with your clients. If you're a B2C business, make sure that you've got their email addresses, make sure they know to sign up and follow you on your social channels. So, oftentimes we just assume they're going to come to us in person and that's the conversation we're going to have. And then all of a sudden they can't and we don't. So make sure that you're telling them, I missed you, I want to talk to you. So make sure that you're liking the Facebook page, make sure you're following our Twitter feed, whatever it is that you do, or Instagram. So I think it's really important that you create that communication channel with them so that if things were to go bad again, that you've got that way to communicate with them. On the B2B side, on the business to business side, you probably already have those communication channels with them. If it looks like things are going to go south again, prepare them in advance. Hey guys, I just want you to know we're watching this like you. Let us know what your supply chain concerns are. I'm going to let you know what my supply chain concerns are. Let's start to work on a plan together. We're going to stop travels. I'm going to set up a webinar for us to showcase our new product launch. So again, it's about communication and preparedness and getting ahead of that curve.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Another question about social media. I've seen a lot of giveaways during this time featured on social media. Do you feel that's appropriate as a tactic for customer engagement?
I feel that the answer is yes, depending on how it's positioned. I don't think anyone wants to take advantage of this. I was talking in the big business presentation about humor sometimes is very personal, and what some person finds funny about COVID and someone else finds horrifying. So I think that anytime you're exploitive, it's obviously not good. Anytime you're empathetic, it's awesome. So if you're doing a giveaway of, hey, I know you guys have had a hard time. It could be like stay-at-home moms are having a hard time teaching and working. I want to give out a candle to someone who you really feel needs it. That's a perfect giveaway. It's very empathetic and it's very generous. And a lot of people would nominate your mom who you can't be with, and we'll send her X. So I think it's about how you lean in an empathetic, gracious way and acknowledge it without exploiting it.
All right, thank you. Naomi asks, what are your thoughts on using pre-existing photography for marketing purposes, or should all images be transitioned to show current status?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because I've watched a lot of ads online and offline and have thought the same thing. I mean, if you can financially afford it, then I really do think it's the right approach, depending on the industry, obviously. But if you can financially afford to do so, then I would. But it's also a way that I don't feel like you need to go through this big, massive, expensive photo shoot, right? If you are a company, and even if it's just like your staff all lined up with masks, waving, like, can't wait to see you again, right? That's very authentic. You could take it with your iPhone. It doesn't have to be something that's really an outrageously overly organized photo shoot. But I do think that for a brief period of time to let people know that you're conscious and considerate, it's a great option. But at the very, very least, if you can just tell them with words, people know what masks and gloves are. They can get the picture.
All right, very good. Another question comes in. What behaviors are likely to remain as habits from a consumer standpoint that we should plan for?
That's a really good one. I feel that there's been a lot of pontificating that financial officers may never approve the T&E budgets like they have in the past. So I feel that travel and trade shows, if you're on that side of the business sector, are going to be affected for a long time, if not forever. Now that we've become really comfortable with webinars like we're doing today, where all you have to do is spend 45 minutes with someone online versus going to a show and spending a couple days away from your business, that's maybe a trade-off that is a better option for you. So I feel that that's going to be a significant piece. I also think that for if anyone has an audience that's older, I feel like it's going to take them a longer time. They're now getting used to being able to watch Netflix, right? They're now used to ordering off of Amazon. They're used to having things delivered to them. We've enabled them to not have to leave the house. So it may be a while before, some of our older customers are really coming back, because, this was kind of a scary thing for many of them. I think the other thing is that we may have a hybrid, right? You're going to have those people who want to do business in person, and then you're going to have that group of people who say, I want the option, and so I think that we may have to just find what that looks like. And I think the best way to also get ahead of that is to start asking people, what worked. Again, I was talking about being prepared and asking your customers what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what do you want to see out of me moving forward?
All right, good. We have another question. With social media like Facebook only targeting people who have liked or followed their page, yes. What is your thought on other media sources such as radio to reach the masses?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So two things. First thing I'll say on Facebook, that if no one has broken the dirty little secret that if you want your Facebook post to be seen, it is the unfortunate reality, you are going to have to boost or promote it. That is the algorithm that is Facebook. It's a pay-to-play model now. It's not an organic channel like it used to be in the old days. So there is some money that's probably going to have to be spent against it. But I am also a big believer in a combination of channels. And I mentioned earlier, radio has particularly been hit. We moved from cars to computers, and it's going to be a while before that balance of computer to cars gets realigned. So absolutely, radio is a very soft market right now, and they would be very interested in cutting some deals. For sure. Out of home is another one, because we're not in our cars, we're not seeing those billboards, and that is potentially a place where that could see some soft opportunities for advertisers to take advantage of. I also think there's some opportunities out there to combine powers and partner, right? As I mentioned earlier about bartering, not even about bartering, it's just about co-sponsoring, right? If there's a compatible partner brand that you can identify, you just cut your spend in half. You're also sharing the stage, but you're sharing the stage in a way that is additive, right? It's a 1 + 1 = 4 factors. So I would also look for other companies that are hungry, that would make good strategic alliances. And that's another way to make your marketing dollars go farther.
All right, thanks, Allie. David asks for any advice you might be able to share on starting out with online chat, how you might manage it in a timely fashion, follow up with visitors, etc.
I think the biggest thing about chat is letting people know when you're online and when you're offline. So you could do chat via instant messaging on your social channels if you choose to go down that route, or you can enable chat as a plugin on your website. And I've seen it work really well with our real estate clients, where they don't necessarily want to fill out a form. They just want to ask a few tentative questions. But if you tell them in your chat window that says, I will be available to chat Monday through Friday from noon to 12, and that's it. Otherwise, you're going to leave a chat message and I'll get back to you in 24 hours. So I think it's just a matter of managing your customers and your clients' expectations. You don't have to be open 24/7. At all, but it gives someone a way to quickly ask a question without giving up their email address or their phone number or filling out a form. It's a very low barrier of entry. And so whether you get back to them in 24 hours or immediately, it's two things. Chat can be instantaneous, but chat's also very low commitment from the customer's perspective.
Yep, very good. I think we have time for another question. We had one that with economies opening up and people going back to work, can you speak to why radio or out of home may or may not be ideal for a small business?
So, as I mentioned earlier, we had this violent shift from cars to computers, and that is going to come back into a balance. And, and eventually it could go back to where it was, or now that you're getting your news, in a new location versus an old location, maybe it won't. So I think this idea of going back to a mix, it's very, very heavy online right now. It will shift back to a new version of how people consume, but it will shift back as people get back into cars. So, again, whether it's out of home, local print, radio, these guys have missed their listeners, they've missed their viewers, and they want new material on their out of home boards. They want new advertisers, the new promotions on the local radio stations. As DJs get a chance to get back into the environment, we have to do it in a way that's obviously respecting 6 feet of space. But those DJs want to see their radio listeners again and do giveaways. And so I feel like they're very open to partnerships right now. Pick up the phone of your old favorite station and just start that conversation up.
All right. Very good. Well, Allie, thank you so much. South Carolina Chamber, thank you so much. And all of you who attended this webinar, we appreciate your time today, and look for an email that follows with a link to the webinar if you wish to watch it again or share it with others. Again, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you a good afternoon.
And good luck.